and about another 54, the records show the negotiations are going on. So it's very much a U.S. policy and a U.S. program to get more of their third-party nationals who are not...
Truth, culture, politics, no filter. This is Jamaica 87.
Yeah, man. Good. Do we take the break before we do, or we just go straight to it, Kevin? Okay. So, the Efficiency Minister is on with us, Ambassador Audrey Marks. So we are here. Good morning, Minister.
Good morning, Mr. Davis. How are you?
I am fine, and how are you today?
I am well, thank you.
Excellent. Yesterday, you spoke publicly for the first time about this TCN and worker exchange issues. Say issues because the government has been at pains to say they are different and distinct. May I ask, how did we get to the point where both issues were wrapped into one and the confusion that has ensued began?
All right. So first, thank you for giving me this opportunity to share with you. And I want to share with you for two reasons. One, to clarify this confusion that is going on, that has now reached the point where people's lives are threatened and property is one I've heard of so far, have been threatened. So lives and property, I should say, are being threatened. So that's a situation that we have to address, and this is the time to do it. The second thing is, I'm finally speaking, because there's a process in government. The matter of the TCN MOU would not normally be addressed by me, because it is, it is negotiated with the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the Minister of National Security, and the Minister of National Security is the person speaking about it, and the Minister of Information, she has also been speaking about it. I've sought permission to speak about it for two reasons. One, because I think the confusion between the two things is reaching a new level. And secondly, because I want to use this as an opportunity to also start making people more aware of the importance of looking at a structured migration program as part of what we need to do to address some of the structural constraints in our economy right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. To help you get there, Minister, let me just be even more direct. The TCN MOU, the Third Country Nationals MOU, what role, if any, did you play in it? Have you played in it, or are you playing in it?
So the TCN MOU is the TCN policy is a long-standing U.S. policy. This current U.S. administration, the Trump administration, they have put it back on the table to use as a way of addressing their migration problem. And they're approaching a number of countries, about 30 countries in all. I know of 27 who have signed, and about another 54, the records show the negotiations are going on. So it's very much a U.S. policy and a U.S. program to get more of their third-party nationals who are not legal out of their country.
But did you...
I have nothing... I'm finishing.
Yes.
I'm answering the question. I have nothing to do with that. It's a U.S. policy. I could not have originated it. And I did not negotiate it. I have sat in one meeting where I was really looking to see, can we use this as an opportunity to also speak about a structured migration program that I had started a discussion on a year ago while I was ambassador in the United States. It was decided that no, we should just keep the two things separate. And so the ministries involved in looking at the negotiation or participating in negotiation, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, National Security, Attorney General Department, Ministry of Justice, they all participated and made sure that we negotiated hard for the MOU that was eventually signed. My only involvement in that would have come again when it came to cabinet for us to look at, ask the questions, and make sure that it is something that will be in Jamaica's interest to proceed with.
So stick up in. So the TCN deal was not proposed by you. Jamaica's involvement was not proposed by you.
Oh, not at all.
Good.
And it would make sense because this is something that involves so many countries.
Yes.
You know, so
you're saying that you took an opportunity at a meeting to discuss the TCN to introduce the issue of the worker exchange program.
So back in February, internally, we got the MOU request from the United States Embassy in January. And so the discussions would have started within the government, looking at, how do we respond? How do we, it's a long-standing ally, how do we work with them? How do we conclude something that would make sense for both countries? I attended one meeting, and that was in February, and at that meeting, I broached the topic of looking at how we could introduce the structured migration program in the discussions going on. It was decided to keep it separate, and we moved on. So in March, when I went to the meeting, the anti-cartel meeting in Miami, there are persons there from different departments. And in a meeting on the margin, I again brought up the structured migration program that I've been discussing the year before and said this is something that is still very important for an ally like Jamaica. We would be looking, and that program includes both the seasonal work program we are currently operating, which has a cap of about 20,000 persons. We think it could increase to 200,000. There's a demand need in the U.S. now with the change in migration policies. And it also looked at getting in skilled workers. And that is where I said we could probably get about 10,000 skilled workers over time. Right. And this is how it would work.
So just stick up in, Minister, it's very important. So the 10,000 number did come from you, but the 10,000 only relates to the worker exchange and had nothing to do with TCN.
Not at all. And how I came up, because I actually did a detailed document looking at how this would benefit from all the reports we are getting from the various sectors. I did a detailed document looking at what type of workers we need, how we could assimilate workers coming in. And I actually looked at the 775 communities in Jamaica and said even a cap of 20 per community, we're looking at about 15,000 persons. So I had a 10,000 number that we could start, I think, managing. And I worked out the details of it. And that would have been from last year, March or so. Yeah.
So how come your communication, as you've said, meetings on sidelines and mention of this worker exchange in a meeting ostensibly called to discuss TCN, how did all of those things roll themselves into a document which was published as 10,000 TCN coming?
So that, when I saw that, I thought at first it was just an error. But the more it has played out, I realized it was a deliberate attempt to cause confusion. Because the TCN MOU was signed in June.
On June 10, Minister Chan says.
Yes,
on And June the newspaper 10th. Story was June 16.
So it was signed on June 10th. The diplomatic note asking for a meeting to discuss the 10,000 TCNs, that could have caused a confusion. That was dealt with from the 10th of March. That came in the 10th of March, and by the 11th of March, there would have been another email going us to say the 10,000 program is going to be dealt with separately. The decision now is just to focus on the TCN. The TCN of 10 to 25 persons coming to the country every fortnight, which would be a maximum of 50 persons. So even if somebody didn't quite get it right, if you put 10,000 with that, it would be about 16 years before you get there. So it would not have made sense. But the point is that that diplomatic note came in 2.5 months before. It was answered, it was settled, it was put aside. So the person who leaked the MOU, they signed the MOU, and decided to leak the diplomatic note to conflate the two things. It was a deliberate action.
So hold on. So you're saying that the documents that were leaked, based on what is written in the documents, the different programs, the distinct programs, the outline was clear. Are you saying that the information in the documents was clear that these are two different and distinct programs, and that those who got the information did the conflation and the confusion, or the information came in the documents was so mixed up that anybody taking information from it to report it would have reported what was published on June 16? What are you saying?
So what I'm understanding is that someone leaked to the Blino the MOU that the government had signed, or the MOU that the government was discussing. So that's one document.
That's the TCN MOU.
The TCN MOU
was leaked. Good. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And all the details of that MOU, that was published. And what was published, let me just go a little bit more with this. What was published spoke of the limit in terms of number of in-transit third-party nationals through the country, 25 every fortnight. It spoke of not persons with...
Minister Marks? Looks as if we lost her, Nora. Call her back now. Kevin, take a quick break and come back now so we can finish up before we have to break for the news at 12.
My eyes were clear and bright.
We're reconnecting with Ambassador Audrey Marks. She says at no time did she mention 10,000 TCN coming through Jamaica with the U.S. authorities. She says the TCN negotiations are not under her portfolio. That's the Ministry of National Security, along with other arms of government. She says what she did say was that a worker exchange program, given U.S. policy and Jamaica's needs, is what she was tasked with talking to the U.S. authorities about, and she did mention 10,000, but only in relation to a worker exchange program. She says the TCN deal was signed on June 10. She didn't have anything to do with the negotiations, but there was a meeting called to discuss TCN, which she used the opportunity to talk about the worker exchange program in, and then on the sidelines of another meeting called to discuss security matters, she used the opportunity to again talk about the worker exchange program. She says those who put the information out in the public domain did so in a manner to cause confusion and to foment dissent against the actions of the government. Am I getting you accurately, Minister?
That is accurate, except that even undocumented workers in the United States now, there are over 14 million of them, but the last record back in 2024, they would also be called third-party nationals if they have been sent out of the country.
Yes.
This is why initially I thought there was a genuine, misunderstanding.
Yes.
But this has continued, and as I said, it has continued to the point where one supposedly reputable media house went to someone's house in St. Mary to speak about this is the place where TCN is going to be, and that person ended up being threatened. So I want to make the point very clear. The MOU is not yet operationalized. There are no third-party nationals here. And then to get back to what we were speaking about, the diplomatic note came in March, 10th of March. The matter was settled through separate programs, and we will be only addressing the TCN MOU now. For the next 2 months, that's the only negotiations that were going on. And it culminated in a signing on Wednesday, June 10th, or Thursday, June 11th. I don't have it exactly. Mm-hmm. And when the person decided to leave the MOU on the 15th of June, they also went back 2 months before and take that diplomatic note and leaked it to the MOU to cause this conflation. So it was not by error. It was a deliberate attempt to misinform the country.
Did the leak come from your ministry?
No, it did not.
Where did the leak come from?
I can't say which ministry. I'm just saying it did not come from the office of the Prime Minister.
And you're certain of that?
I'm pretty certain of that.
Yes, go ahead.
It was two things. Let us continue. There's a second part, but I can't remember what was.
No. But let me ask you then. Right. So you're saying then that any communication that the American authorities that you would have spoken to, either face-to-face in bilateral talks or in the in a collective setting of a meeting, you know, the WikiLeaks cables shows that the U.S. authorities, they record all of their conversations. Yeah. Are you saying that all communications recorded by any of the parties who are party to the meetings and discussions you've had will bear out that at no time did Audrey Marks say Jamaica will accept 10,000 TCN?
That's what I'm saying. You cannot say TCN.
No. Hold on. Minister, hold on. No, man. No, hold on. I'm going from... No, man, hold on. Minister, I'm just going from what the June 16 report said. So I'm trying to drive home the fact that, based on what you've said, that at no time did you discuss anything about that. So I'm just affirming that the documentation of the meetings that are on a record, wherever they are being kept, it will never show that because you never had such discussions with the U.S. authorities. That's what I'm driving at.
And I know what you're driving at, but I'm saying is that we need to clarify that third-party nationals also refer to the undocumented workers and skilled workers in the United States that I'm talking about, that some of those persons could come to Jamaica.
Under the work exchange program.
Right. So that is why it's not just TCN. It's
Got you.
TCN MOU.
Yes.
That's a separate thing.
Yes.
From a TCN arrangement, so to speak, that utilizes undocumented persons that are processed, working, and in the United States now, but they don't have papers.
Yes.
Some of them are highly skilled. 8.5 million of them are identified as highly skilled. We hear recently 250,000 Haitians that are under the temporary program there. All of those people are now subject for removal.
Yes.
They are not criminals. They are just not in the United States legally. Many of us have relatives in that sort of position.
Yes.
So we cannot confuse persons who are undocumented with criminals, like what we hear some of persons in the opposition speaking about rapists and murderers. We have no discussions about those persons coming to Jamaica. And in fact, even in the MOU, that is not allowed, and it says that distinctly.
Where in the world, Minister, is there existing now an exchange program of the kind that we are discussing intently with the Americans?
So we are doing that right now. We have been doing it with Cuba. We have been doing it we have now expanded to Ghana, Nigeria. We have done it with India. So what we are looking at now is where there will be a bigger pool and where there will be incentive on both sides to make a program work. This is not something that is new to Jamaica. And the other side of this that we have to look at as we look at the economic situation in Jamaica is that we have sent out over 1.3 million Jamaicans who have migrated. Up to 75-80% of them are skilled. Then they have gone to work, mostly in the United States. So we have a brain drain, and we have to turn that around. We have to get in some people, especially with our decline in population and our current low productivity and our skills gap. But in order to avoid a problem of saying you're taking in workers and there are people here are unemployed, this is the reason why I coupled it with a program to expand our work program where more Jamaicans could get an opportunity to go out. So there's a balancing. And even how the structured migration would work, we will be requesting funding for those persons coming here, and it would go into the communities to help Jamaicans get upskilled so that we can have a broader and deeper expansion of the labor market here.
Well, it's too late to try that simplification. But what I'm saying quickly is this. So you're saying that the worker exchange program is this. So the US, you want farm workers. We don't have farms the size you have. So we have people who can work on farms based on labor, the skill they have. So you take them, and from you, we'll take those people who have applied for residency in your country, who don't have the papers, of course, to be there permanently legal, but who have skills that we need in Jamaica. Simplified. Is that what the agreement is about?
That is it. But just one other quick thing.
Yes.
We know that a lot of our farmers, our hospitality workers and construction workers, there's a need for them in Jamaica. So what we are proposing is not a migration where they stay over there.
Yes.
They go and they work and come back. This program has existed now for the last 80 years.
Yeah, 6 months on, 6 months off, something like
right.
that. Okay.
Some have stayed up to 3 years,
Yes.
but you come back. It's not a permanent residence. It's a legal program and it's working well.
Hear you on that. It's news time, Minister, and I'm into the news zone. I thank you for your time this morning.
Okay, my pleasure. Take care.
Good. Minister of Efficiency, Digital Transformation, Skills, Audrey Marks, the ambassador of Audrey Marks. News time.